then only in love.
Welcome to Gulfstream today, and welcome to beautiful Gulfstream Park. Ron Nicoletti, along with Acacia Courtney, and really a good 12 race card. I was thinking yesterday, 12 race card this afternoon. We got a fast main track, a firm turf course. Yesterday, Friday, was Beat the Expert Day. I was the expert, and boy, did they beat me. The list has got to be, we picked some that are going to win those fantastic polo shirts, and congratulations to these three people. There's Maureen O'Brien, Alex Oliveira, and Sammy Rosen, or Samuel Rosen. Congratulations. You'll be receiving your polo shirt in just a little while. And if you come to Gulfstream Park, make sure you stop by and give me a little bit of a razz.
I guess you have to. And I guess it's kind of a curse of Beat the Expert Day. Yesterday, you had one winner. Last week, Gabby had one winner. And the week before, I had one winner. So it's kind of on those Fridays, just a little bit of a tough time for us. But I guess we really
And with that said, we usually do good the next day. So maybe we'll give out some winners.
Yeah, so maybe today will be good. Yeah,
we'll
that's what we hope. That's what we hope.
So let's tell you about the wagering menu today. And boy, is it exciting. We're going to start it off with the Rolling Super High Five. Already $13,000 plus in that pool. And boy, anytime you have over 10,000, they really bet that. And of course, we have two pick fives this afternoon, one starting in race number one. And Acacia is going to show you her ticket very shortly. And then we have the ever popular middle pick four today, 50-cent wager. When we have a 12 race card, we have three pick fours this afternoon.
We do. It's a very popular wager with that 12 race format. And then we have guarantees starting a little bit later on. We do kick it off with the Rainbow Six today in race number 7. It wasn't hit yesterday, even though there were a couple horses alive in the final leg. So $200,000 in the Rainbow Six, $200,000 guarantee in the late pick 5, and a $300,000 guarantee in the late pick 4. And Ronnie and I will have tickets galore for you.
We'll have tickets galore. You'll be showing your late pick 5. And talking about that Rainbow Six yesterday, the horse that might have been best and given Paco Lopez his 6th win on the day finished second, and that was one of the horses in the race that was alive. So that's a tough beat for whoever it was, but it's certainly good for us this afternoon because we're going to have that really nice carryover. So it looks like we took care of all our business. The first race this afternoon is going to be 1 mile and 1/16. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the turf is firm. It's an allowance optional claimer. Fillies 3-year-olds, they could run for that optional claiming price of $75,000. Scratch both main track onlys, number 8, My Cousin Martha, and the number 9, Jordan's Henny. And as we mentioned, Acacia will show you her first of 2 pick 5 tickets today.
All right, we'll give you a look at my ticket. $48 to kick things off. No single in the early pick 5, but I do have a single in the late pick 5. Again, we have that great guarantee of $200,000, so kind of trying to pad my bankroll for the late pick 5 in here, using 3 horses to kick it off, then 2 by 2 by 2, and 4 in the final leg of the pick 5. I think that the 5th race is a wide open one. Of course, the 4th race is our stakes, our graded stakes action today with the Grade 2 Royal Delta.
You are Royal Delta, and I think you have the 2 logical horses in there, but that's just a snapshot of Acacia's ticket. You can add or subtract depending on your bankroll this afternoon, and should be pretty interesting to hit in there today.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll, as I said, get that one home and get a little help for the late pick 5.
What'd you start with in race number 1?
Race number 1, I think that we actually had the same horse in here, and that's the number 2, Accepting, for trainer Jimmy Jerkins. And this horse broke her maiden very impressively sprinting on the turf, and so much so that they actually tried her in Stakes Company at Belmont back in the fall. She came off of a layoff, and she finished, I think, a useful second last time in Allowance Optional Claiming Company, going that 7.5 furlongs on the turf. And she was running behind a horse that's just been in exceptional form, multiple stakes placed now, India Mantuana. And she was just second behind India Mantuana the whole way. She's the speed in here.
Yeah, and India Mantuana just been doing that winning with the front running style. So a good performance by Accepting last time out. We got a stat on Jimmy Jerkins, a second start off the layoff on the turf for 3-year-olds. He's 5 for 23, 22%, 39% in the money with a $2.83 return of investment. So it's a positive ROI, and a stat here that, you know, it's pinpointed and it's very good.
It is indeed, and definitely seeing how much success and a positive ROI, and a nice work tab for this filly as well. So I definitely think that she can move forward. But a horse that'll probably take some money, and rightfully so, is the number 5 to Purge for trainer Chad Brown. They added the blinkers last time out, and we'll go back and show this race. Her maiden victory was very strong, and she comes out of a race at and we'll start with this break in here, and she's the number 2 that day. Not off the sharpest. Now, she doesn't have a lot of gate speed in here, but she has to steady a bit heading into the first turn. Of course, it was a big field in here, and she just kind of between horses with little room to run. You see there, she kind of has to tap on the brakes. She wants to be a little bit more forwardly placed, but they do have to tap on the brakes. And now we'll look at her in the stretch, and she has to go outside, and it's kind of a cavalry charge heading towards the wire in here. As I said, she went impressively in that race there. The other horse, Talaki, who finished 3rd, we'll see coming back tomorrow in a strong maiden race. So I think that she was running against some very nice fillies in here, and she manages to get the win on the outside again, her first start with the blinkers. And I alluded to this earlier, she comes out of a very strong race even in her debut at Aqueduct. We saw Bellevue, the 2nd place finisher, go on to win the Ginger Brew, and just several horses coming out to run strongly or break their maidens in nice fashion.
And once you see that replay, certainly makes you want to think that you have to have this one on your ticket. It's a half, this one is a half sister to 1.5 million Erna Geronimo. You mentioned the connections. Chad Brown just does an excellent job with these type of horses going on from a win, stepping up and winning again. You went with the number 1 in 3rd.
I did, and this one won last time at a huge price of 49 to 1. That was a wide open maiden race on Pegasus World Cup Day. It was kind of along the rail, room opened, and then went by just in time. It was a full field of 13 that day, and that horse definitely figured, so I think you have to respect her off of that. A bit of an unknown in here is the number 3 horse, who's trying the turf for the first time.
Well, we'll see how the first race plays out. I think you got the logical. We have the logical 2 on top, and then, of course, that starts the first of our 2-pick 5s. Race number 2 this afternoon, 5 furlongs on the turf. Claim is 4 and up, $16,000. We're going to have 8 in the field, no scratches, no jockey changes in here. And I went with the number 7 in here, and that is Grand Demand. And this one, 4 for 4 in the money on the Gulfstream turf. I think this one should be primed and ready to score after shipping in from Aqueduct, finishing 2nd at this level in distance. The trainer is Jason Service. I want to show you a stat over the last 5 years. Jason Service, 2nd start after a layoff in turf sprints, all claiming levels. He's 9 for 34, a very nice 26%. He's in the money 68% of the time. Now the ROI is only $1.35. Of course, Jason Service, one of the best trainers, and his horses run exceptionally well, doing exactly what this horse is doing today.
It is, and it's a negative ROI, but the percentages are very strong, and this horse definitely figures. I remember I really liked him last time out, dropping to this open $16,000 level and moving back to the turf. So I used him in my exacta, but kind of taking a little bit of a wait and see. I did land on the number 6, Forced Motion, on top, who drops again, another one taking a drop, but this one to this $16,000 level, which is the lowest that he's run, so perhaps that's a little bit of question marks. But his 5 furlongs on the turf races have been incredibly strong. Last time out, there was no catching Canadian Flyer, who won that race by more than 4 lengths. Of course, Forgive and Zoot Suit came back to run okay in their next races, but it was against much tougher competition than Forced Motion is going to face today.
Yeah, and I took, as you mentioned, I'll steal a line from you, taking a wait-and-see approach. I just didn't like that last race. It was an even 6th. I just think Grand Demand is a little better in this spot, but certainly would not lead that one off the ticket. I closed with the 1 Global Magician, who's going to break from the rail. He closed 5 wide. He finished 4th. He was only beaten the neck. It was a 4-horse blanket finish at the distance. George Navarro, Miguel Vasquez, inside post this afternoon.
And was actually a little unsettled at the break, but was closing pretty wide in his first start against Open Company. I did use the number 4, Party All Night Long, who last time out was the widest of all late. So giving a little bit of a pass to this 10-year-old horse.
Well, let's go to race number 3 this afternoon. 5 furlongs on the turf. These are maiden claiming fillies, 3-year-olds, $20,000. And we're going to have 1 jockey change to let you know about. It comes on the number 6. The rider will be Ed Juano Nunez. And please note that weight. The apprentice allowance is no more, so it'll be 120 pounds. And you started it off in here with the number 7, Kabuki.
I did, and I can't blame you for taking Ballyhoo Moon off of that last race, but Ballyhoo Moon finished second by a neck last time, and just it kind of looked like he wouldn't go by, and that was a huge improvement from all of his previous races. He just really had not been finishing up strongly at all, or she did, excuse me. So I went with a horse that I think can take a step forward, because last time out, she dropped to this maiden 20 level after facing state-bred maiden special weight types, and granted, she didn't really show too much against state-bred maiden special weight. But last time, she had to kind of take up at the break, and she was trailing early, but she did make up some ground that was also off a 4-month layoff. They're taking the blinkers off today. Lisa Lewis does a great job with turf sprinters.
Yeah, and this one had, as you mentioned, a ton of trouble in that race. But Ballyhoo Moon, going back to the horse for a minute, what I like about this, one of my angles in here, second time blinkers, because there was so much improvement with first time with the blinkers, that second time blinkers. Would I leave Kabuki off? No. So I have the 4 on top with the 7 in there. Now, the horse they did not use on the inside, you have his Classic Act.
And this one does attract the likes of Javier Castellano, so of course, or excuse me, Edgar Zayas is going to be aboard. That's something that you do like. But this one was bumped at the start last time and was just kind of rank. Looked really green early, so I'm thinking second-time starter, makes a lateral move, and was running, as I said, as we mentioned earlier, in that same race of Ballyhoo Moon, so perhaps can take a step forward in here and now has some experience.
Yeah, and second choice on the morning line, so it's a logical contender in there. We both used the number 3 in fourth in there for if you're playing your supers and stuff, and we're going to flip the page. Our feature race of the afternoon is in race number 4 this afternoon. 1 mile and 1/16. These are fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. It's the $200,000, the Royal Delta.
And of course, named for one of the great race mares that unfortunately we did lose about a week ago due to foaling complications. But I think that's it's a nice group in here to pay honor to her legacy, and we're happy to have a race named here for her at Gulfstream Park. And we did both land on the number 2, Curlin's Approval, this is going to be the furthest distance that she's gone, but man, is she a game filly, and she has quite a bit of speed.
Yeah, no, she was a gutsy second in the 1 mile rampart. Who beat her in that day was the 5 in here today, Asking for Money, but they sent the horse up to challenge her, and she dueled from start to finish. And what I liked about that, she fought on bravely to finish second that day, and then she came back and won impressively last time out.
And let's go back and show that race in the Rampart to show how it did kind of set up for Eskin for Money. Curlin's Approval did a lot of dirty work up front, but Genre, who's also a Todd Pletcher trainee, was up front with Curlin's Approval, excuse me, and you see the number 7, Eskin for Money, again with Todd Pletcher kind of closing on the outside. She sat in the catbird seat completely. And now in this race here today, it looks like the fastest is perhaps, or excuse me, the most speedy type is Venom Girl, but she's been running against 62.50 claimers. So I just don't think, A, she has the class, or that she's as fast as Curlin's Approval. So I think she can run away from the field.
Yeah, there's no thinking about it. She does not have the class to
No.
run with that horse. So Curlin's Approval, you know, came back and just ran fantastic in that race. And, you know, coming back now, Asking for Money, 7 for 9 in the money at this distance. But look at that record. Only 1 win at 1 mile and 16. So it's the longest Curlin's Approval is going. But Asking for Money hasn't been that successful at 1 mile and 16. Now 4 seconds and 2/3. You mentioned the connections there. You know, close to nail Curlin's Approval in the Rampart. It's Todd Pletcher, Javier Castellano. You got to be nuts to leave this one off the ticket.
Absolutely, and you know that she's going to be sitting behind the pace in here, but a horse that'll be closing or has been kind of forwardly placed too. And it looks like it's kind of a horse on the upswing, if you will. The number 1, Verve's Tail, it took her a long time to break her maiden, but she broke her maiden, and then she came right back and won the Grade 3 Comely. So she really did seem to have a light bulb click, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, if things get dicey on the front end, maybe it sets up for there, but I think we have the logical 2 in there. So the really nice race of the Royal Delta, that's Grade 2, $200,000 in that race. Now, race number 5 this afternoon, 1 mile and 1/16. These are claimers 4 and up, $6,250. And we both landed on the horse that's second on the morning line, but on top of our ticket, and that is the 7 Tiz Bobby.
And Tiz Bobby won on the sloppy track last time out, and then his previous wins were on the synthetic. But he is actually a 3-time winner here at Gulfstream, and perhaps last time out, I just thought he was so game and was able to pull away clear from the rest of the field, even though it was a sloppy track. But his races actually prior to that were pretty strong as well. 2 starts back, he was drawn outside 9 of 9, and he still managed to finish second, beaten just a length. And Nick Juarez stays aboard. I think that he handles this horse very well.
Yeah, and he split horses last time out, and that's always a key that I like to see a horse that split horses and run well in there. Now, I used the 2 in second. You had it in third. Over the Limit is stepping up to face this open competition. Notched its 2nd consecutive victory in defeating 6,253 lifetime claimers. Won that race by almost 5 lengths, and I believe this horse is going to be well backed at the windows, and I think probably will go off the favorite in here.
Definitely will take some attention as he has kind of zipped through his conditions in his past couple of races. He won the non-winners of 2, then the non-winners of 3. Now he's facing open company for the first time, and that's why I landed on a horse that had been successful already against open company instead of one that's maybe just kind of moving through those conditions. But he's definitely a horse to respect, and he also has some speed. Now, it looks like there's definitely going to be speed from the outside with Donegal Hall and Eclipsado as well. So I thought for a horse to be running from far behind, the number 5 High Quality Prince, it's been a long time between drinks, but was drawn in post 12 last time, way to the outside, and closed really strongly to be third, beaten just a length and a quarter.
Well, let's go to race number 6 this afternoon, and this 6 furlong claiming event for 3-year-old fillies, 35,000 down to 25,000. 1 scratch in here of number 3, Faith and Hope, and we both have the number 1, Little United, on top of our ticket, and I like this horse all along. The 3 was the morning line favorite. I had that one in second, and I like United. I'll tell you why. Drop it to the $35,000 level, racing with the blinkers added, hoping both those changes help recapture that speed and consistency she showed winning back-to-back races at Gulfstream Park West. Chris Gaddis is the trainer. Paco Lopez, what a day yesterday. 5 wins, almost 6. So I just think this horse is going to run very well in there.
I agree. I liked this horse all along, too. I believe 4-1 on the morning line. I think the addition of the blinkers, and normally she has some speed, and with the blinkers on in the rail post position, I imagine she's going to go. Now, there is some other speed. Certainly you expect Fallen Leaf to go out to the front. We know that's the name of her game. But I definitely think Little United has some of the more back class. She broke her maiden, and then she came right back and won impressively at Gulfstream Park West against 35,000 starter optional claiming types. So after she had been claimed already, she stepped up to the house party, which might have been too tough for her, and it was a sloppy track. And then last time out, she tried to show some speed against much tougher competition. So this just might be the place that she needs to be.
And both of us had some interest in the number 8, Creative Talent.
And this one to the outside. Now, first off, the claim for Jorge Navarro makes a lateral move. And last time, though, was actually running against some pretty solid company. Both of the top 2 winners, Valedictorian and Easy's Mistress, came back to win again after that. So I think that you can give a little bit of a pass of her. She was also drawn in post 10 last time, so a little bit better today.
Number 4, Spring Detti, is stepping up to face winners. Stalked early, drew clear late, defeated 25 maidens, but it was on the sealed, sloppy track. So some answers here we need from this horse today. Coming back and to step up, face winners, and going to try and do it on a fast main track.
She definitely has to prove herself today, but it was a very nice maiden win.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it will be Rainbow 6 time.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Ron and Acacia. And Acacia, very brave here, fighting a little bit of a cold this afternoon, but we'll be able to move forward.
Maybe you're the brave one for sitting next to me.
Well, probably tomorrow I'll be the one sneezing and stuff. We'll see. I hope not. But this race number 7 is a mile and the 16th on the turf, maiden special weight 3-year-olds. We're going to scratch all the also eligible entries, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And as we mentioned, this is where the Rainbow Six start with that $200,000 jackpot guarantee. So let's look at my ticket here, and you will see I come up with a $64.80. I stepped it up, and you'll see I'm singling in race number 12, and that is the 5-horse Delta Prince. We got a horse running today. You know, Delta, I figured that was the key word, and I really liked that horse in the last race. So I thought the other races were wide open, so I'm singling at the end. If I can get there, I got to pray the 5 will get the job done.
Well, that's a hunch play if I've ever seen one. Today, on the day of the Grade 2 Royal Delta, you have her little brother in the finale who won so impressively last time out for Jimmy Durkin. So we'll see if Delta Prince can get it done in the last. And we always joke about your singles, but it looks like you've got a good one, and especially, as I said, a hunch play.
What do you got, 6 horses in that race?
Yeah, probably.
Race 7, as we mentioned here, I went with the number 3 County Court, and this one is turning back to a mile in the 16th, adding blinkers today.
And we'll go back and show this horse's last race, and was off the pace last time out. Kind of got bumped and squeezed at the start. Look at the number 7 here at the break. And it looked like a lot of horses wanted the lead. So you see it was kind of aggressive moving on either side. And then this horse had to be very wide rounding the far turn. And it was even actually pushed wider as the winner, Adonis Creed, who still is a bit green, was kind of a little bit all over the place, drifting a bit. And County Court is off the screen right now, but now you see the chiclet, and there he is. He's still closing in the center of the track. Now, keep in mind, this is the Kentucky-bred Adonis Creed that we're watching. We'll see the French-bred Adonis Creed running tomorrow. Right. But I thought it was a solid performance for County Court, and maybe with the blinkers on, help this one get in a little bit of a better position.
Well, let's look at a stat with Shug McGahee over the last 5 years with a layoff of 31 to 60 days on the turf with first-time blinkers. He's 3 for 14, 21%. It's a small sampling, 43% in the money, but only $1 for ROI. And I don't put much stock in your ROI because Shug McGahee gets bet all the time. He does an excellent job. And I think more importantly is the replay that you showed in here, that this horse has a good shot to win in there. And I think County Court is sitting on the win. Would I think of singling it? Absolutely not.
No, and maybe this is the reason that you don't single this horse in the first leg of the Rainbow Six or whatever you are doing in here. I had some interest in another horse. I used County Court in second, but I ended up putting a first-time starter for Chad Brown on top. And this is first-time starter on the turf. We've had some trouble getting first-time starters for Chad on the dirt home in the past couple of days, but on the turf, I certainly do have faith in that. And Bricks and Mortar, the number 7, will debut with Lasix. The Dam Beyond the Waves was multiple graded stakes place both in France and in the U.S. She did win at first asking as well, and this one's also have to graded stakes win Emerald Beach, graded stakes winner, excuse me, Emerald Beach, who again won first out by Giants Causeway. It's kind of an extensive work tab, but I think that's kind of what's to be expected for Chad's first-time starters, and I just loved the breeding on this one.
Well, you showed that race of County Court and everybody going every which way at the start. So another horse that's going to get blinkers this afternoon is the one Mears. He's going to return back to a mile in the 6th. He made that middle move before fading to finish 4th behind County Court. So a couple of horses in there getting some equipment changes to help them keep straight and true through the stretch.
Mears will definitely have to take a step forward now today. I would definitely like to see a bit more from him. Maybe with the addition of the blinkers, that's what's going to help. I think we'd have to mention the number 5 Brooklyn Bobby for Brian Lynch, who I used towards the bottom of my ticket. But this horse is by Frankel. The Dam was a multiple graded stakes winner. Balance, she earned more than $1 million. She's actually yet to produce a winner, but this horse was so highly touted in Saratoga at his debut, went off as the heavy favorite, but just kind of hesitated at the break, was very rank, looked incredibly green. Now he gets Lasix for the first time, and he was keeping company with good horses like Keep Quiet, who of course did win the Grade 3 Bourbon, but we haven't seen him since August, so there are a lot of questions as to what we're going to see from Brooklyn Bobby.
Well, here's where you watch the tote board, and you got a good chance because it's the first leg of the Rainbow Six, and you get a chance to watch. So if the word is out and this horse that was highly touted at Saratoga, is coming back in good form. So you have to do a little tote board watching in race number 7. Lots of greatly bred horses in there. And if you can go deep, that's one of the races where you certainly have to go deep. Now, in race number 8 this afternoon, a mile in the 16th on the turf. These are maiden claiming filly 3-year-olds, $75,000, 9 in this field. And this is where our final pick 5 of the afternoon starts.
Yes, and don't forget, we have a $200,000 guarantee in the late pick 5. So we'll show you my ticket. I have a single. It's not the same single as Ronnie's. I did use 4 horses in the finale.
I knew it.
So that's to be expected. But as I said, Delta Prince is, of course, the one to beat. I'm using 3 deep to start it off. My single will come in the next race in the 9th with Patch for Todd Pletcher. I love the stretch out in distance for this horse. I think he's in exactly the right spot. And then I'm going to go 3 by 3 and using 4 deep in the finale. Of course, Delta Prince is right on top, but I do think there are a couple other nice runners in that field.
And don't forget, $200,000 guarantee in that late pick 5. Now, I started my analysis off with the number 7 in here. Salmody. He's dropping to the $75,000 level. Can't read my writing in here. After stalking the pace and counting some traffic, he got steady between horses in that race.
And we'll show that race. This is also including Cuddle Kitten, who's the number 9 in here today. They're 7 and 8 respectively in this race. Now, Cuddle Kitten was intent on the lead. He went by early, made an early move to get out to the front, and then kind of drifted off the rail and faded. Salmony, by contrast, was kind of sandwiched in between horses. You see the number 8 there with the Starlight Racing Silks and had no room to go. There were horses closing on his outside, and then now he's completely shut off, has to tap on the brakes a little bit, as I said, as Cuddle Kitten is kind of fading. So I thought it was a strong performance. Everything considered for Salmody, that he didn't really have much room to go. Would have liked to see him finished up a little bit sharper, but again, he kind of got cut off and sandwiched. It's a compromising position.
Well, let's show a stat on Todd Pletcher with the number 7 horse in here, and that's maiden special weight to maiden claiming on the turf, 3-year-olds at Gulfstream Park. So we narrowed it down. He's 6 for 26, 23%, 65% in the money with a $1.43 ROI, and most stats for Todd Pletcher at Gulfstream Park are going to be good.
Yes, they definitely are. He does a great job here in the winter meet, as with anywhere. He does a great job. So this is definitely, I think, a horse that you have to use. I did have some interest, though, in the number 6, Gold Lace, who makes a lateral move for trainer Bill Mott. And this one debuted going a mile on the turf, was kind of bumped at the start, had encountered a lot of traffic. I actually almost showed this race, too, but ended up closing strongly and was beaten just by a length and a quarter, and that's as a first-time starter for Belmont. So given all the traffic trouble that he had, it looked like, or she had, excuse me, it looked like she was really going to be able to take a step forward off of that. So that's why I did put her on top, but by no means would I leave somebody off.
And I had all those 3 on my ticket, the top 3 we got there. I think you got to have the 6 Gold Lace, daughter of Shackleford. Now, the 9th race today, 1 mile maiden special weight, 3-year-olds. We're going to scratch the 15 and 16, and we have a $300,000 guarantee in the late pick 4, and I put a ticket together. I'd like to show you right now, and then it'll pop up in just a second. And there you see it, $48. 4 deep in here, 4 deep, 3, and then 2 in the 12th. I saved myself. I singled it in the Rainbow 6 because I wanted to add more horses, but I'm using 2 here for a $48 ticket. And as you mentioned, Patch looks like the one to beat in there.
And of course, the race that I single in your pick 4 ticket, you go 4 deep. So that's just always how it goes. But hopefully we'll get both of them home today. But the number 3 Patch debuted at the 6 furlongs. Now, he didn't have a lot of gate speed coming out of there, and it was interesting. There were a couple of Todd Pletcher horses in that field, and he didn't really take as much money as the other Pletcher horse. But he kind of kicked in late and was closing really strong on the outside. So he's by Union Rags. He's half-degraded stakes winner. His windy, beautifully bred, of course. And I love the stretch out in distance for him. I think the mile is really going to suit him, and he's been working very sharply at Palm Beach Downs since.
Well, the horse I really liked in here was the 13, but you heard 13, and that's Newman, so I had to back off. He's making his first starts, and he was tilting windmills when facing winners. That was in the 9 furlong grade 3 Remsen. He was still a maiden in there. It's the son of Bernardini, who was beating a length at this level in distance at Belmont in October. You certainly needs to overcome the pitfalls associated with that tough outside post, but they thought enough of this horse to put him in the grade 3 Remsen while stood him maiden, and it's not a barn that just enters horses all over the place. So I wish he wasn't in post 13.
I know, that is the tough part about it. He does have some tactical speed, so he'll have to get in position early from post 13, but it's coming out of the mile chute, so perhaps he'll have a little bit of time to get into a good spot. Joel Rosario's been aboard every time, and they added Lasix last time out in the Remsen, and that was also going a mile and an eighth. As you mentioned, he was still a maiden. He was, even in his debut, he finished third behind Practical Joke, who's turned out to be an exceptional runner. So he's definitely been keeping some of the strongest company. He just has the post to deal with today, and he still does have to break his maiden.
Well, that's it. Well, he's in a maiden race, so that's where he's got to do it.
Right
but
place.
you did have more interest than I did with the number 7, and that is a Stone Mountain.
Well, I thought that this horse could take a step forward, and I really like him because he has a lot of speed now. He debuted at a mile and a 16th. It was labeled a wet fast track that day. It was sealed, and it actually was pretty wet. And Fire Effect, the winner, came closing that day. Monaco came back to win his next by 12 lengths at Tampa, though it was just a 58 Beyer speed figure. But he broke his maiden by 12 lengths, so that's certainly something to take into account. And this horse, he was kind of late switching leads as well, but he has that speed, and I think now with some experience under his belt, he could be strong in here.
Well, number 5, Take Your Guns, who you have in fourth, I have in third, is a half-brother to $1.2 million earner. Last Gunfighter, debuting for trainer Chad Brown. Consistent workout pattern showing up at Palm Meadows. He's a son of Blame. He gets Lasix, Javier Castellano. Boy, this horse is really tough to leave off any multiple wager ticket.
There are a lot of beautifully bred horses in this field, and some horses that can definitely take a step forward. We have the same top 4, but it looks like, I mean, you can even make some arguments with some of the other ones in this field. So I'm singling because I really had a strong opinion on Patch, but if you can go a bit deeper, this might be the race to do it.
Well, let's go to race number 10, 7.5 furlongs on the turf. It's an allowance optional claimer, 4-year-olds and up. They could run for that optional claiming price of $62,500. And not a lot of scratches out of the body of the race today, but here we have the also scratched out number 13, 14, and number 15.
And we'll start it off with the number 6, Tourmaline, for trainer Chad Brown. We'll go back and show his last race. This was off a 7-month layoff as well, and actually only a second start with Chad. So keep your eyes on the number 6 in here. It is hard, of course. Unfortunately, we only have the pan shot, but he was kind of bumped on either side and pinched back at the start. So you see him very far back in that field, but he was closing very wide in this race and managed to get third by just a neck. And now he's so far wide, you're thinking he's not going to get there. And he almost does. He really put in a very strong performance, I think, in that race. And in his first race for Chad, it was in March here at Gulfstream. He, again, was kind of pinched back at the start, but just didn't really show up in there. And he was running against tough company against the likes of Conquest Typhoon. He's a great stakes winner. So I thought he ran exceptionally well there off the layoff. He now has another bit of a freshening since October. So I don't know if he's a horse that's kind of hard to keep on the racetrack, but he has back class, even finishing in a Group 1 in Ireland behind the likes of Glen Eagles, who's a multiple Group 1 winner. So I think he's got a lot of back class.
Now, let me explain this stat to you. I'm going to show you Chad Brown. Layoff 61 to 180 days on the turf. Sprint to route. Why am I doing this? It's going from 7 is a 1-turn race, which we just showed you. 7.5 furlongs here at Gulfstream Park is around 2 turns. So sprint to route. He's 8 for 27, 30%, 59% in the money, and a positive return of investment of $2.21. So, I mean, it's an elongated sprint, but it is around 2 turns. So I wanted to put that stat out there.
And that's good to note because 5 furlongs on the turf and 7.5 on the turf is a world of difference as far as sprint races go here. And even 7 furlongs at Belmont is different versus the 7.5 here at Gulfstream. So I think he fits perfectly in here.
Yeah, you know, with the run up, they're running just about a mile here, so it is actually a 2-turn race. So put that stat into your memory bank. You went with the number 2 horse in second, and that is Luck of the Kitten.
And I think that this horse has a bit of speed. He definitely has some back class, debuting back in 2014. I mean, he was very highly touted, very highly appreciated. He won the Zuma Beach and then was second in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. He then had an extended layoff from June of 2015 after trying the Group 3 Jersey Stakes at Royal Ascot, came back in 2016, and he has some speed. He hasn't shown the same kind of speed that he did before the layoff, but it looks like he's a horse that's kind of of rounding back into form. He was second by just ahead in Stakes Company. 2 starts back on the synthetic, came back to the turf last time in non-winners of 3 allowance, and I do think that he could step forward today.
Well, number 11, Unbridled Ocean, is dropping to this level today and turning back to 7.5 furlongs. First start since tracking the pace, he getting beat 2 lengths. It was a $100,000 optional claimer contested, and not only contested up at Aqueduct, it was on a soft turf course. David Jacobson, we've been mentioning him over the last few days, can't seem to get that win here, but he's got leading rider Luis Saez atop this 9-year-old son of Unbridled.
And he's got an outside post to deal with today, and 7.5 furlongs is very short into the first turn, so dealing with the outside post will be tough for him. Came off of that 15-month layoff, and I agree. I don't think he handled the soft turf perhaps as well as he could handle the firm going, but still a couple reservations about him in this spot.
Our co-feature event of the afternoon, 7 furlongs, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. It is the $60,000 guaranteed. It is the White Pearl. We do have one scratch to let you know about. It's number 2, Minds and Magic, and both you and I started it off with the number 9, Sophia's Song.
Sophia's Song is coming off of about a 4-month layoff since trying the Grade 2 Raven run at Keeneland last time out, but we're going to go back and show her race 2 starts back in the Grade 3 Charlestown Oaks, because normally this filly is a speed type, and here you'll see at the break she did break sharply, but actually kind of almost lost her footing. She kind of took a little bit of a turn, and now she's at the back of the pack, so she had to come from off of the pace. She was forced to go outside of her running style. She'd never really done this before. She'd always been on the front end, and now she's closing. She manages to get just within a neck of the winner. That was Covey Trace that day, and Mia Tori, of course, Mia Tori going on to be very impressive in Stakes Company as well. But I thought that Sophia's Song was surging very strongly at the end.
Yeah, and you know, after that performance there, it's certainly working so sharply up at Palm Beach Down. So a horse that I think you can have in the ticket. Now, if you look in the dictionary under Hard Knocking Campaign, you're going to see the number 1, Moment of Delight. He's stretching out to 7 furlongs after returning from the layoff now for trainer David Fawkes after finishing 3rd. That was in the 6 furlong, $100,000 Sunshine Millions distance. She has the speed, the rail, and she's got red hot jock Luis Saez in the saddle. I like this horse today to be there.
Yeah, definitely. And she's got the speed with the rail post. And last time she was beat by Mia Tori, who I was just mentioning, coming out of that Grade 3 Charlestown Oaks. So she definitely was beaten by a legitimate foe in there. And I think she needs to be on the front end. And I think the post will definitely help her out today.
Now, use the number 5, Bodacious Babe, in 3rd.
I did, and this one looks like she's kind of moving in the right direction. She physically looked great, moving back to the dirt when she won the Margate 2 starts back, and I think 7 furlongs is perfect for her.
I love a horse in here to be on the ticket somewhere, and it's the 7, Decinta, who's an overachieving daughter of Summer Bird, proved her 15-1 upset in a $62,000 optional claimer 2 starts back. Wasn't a one-shot deal. She came right back. She runs 3rd at 23-1 in the Grade 3 Hurricane Birdie. This one is on the upswing. I don't know what it is on the morning line, but a horse I think you have to look at. Well, it's only 5-1. I thought it would be a longer price. So one of the horses, take an extra look at that horse. Boy, you know, I thought the horse would be double-digit odds, and still might be, you know, because you got a couple of really nice horses. I really think they're going to send it in on number 9, Sophia's Song.
Absolutely expect it to be that way. It's not the biggest field, but it is a very strong one.
And we're going to wrap up the Saturday card with race number 12. It's a 1-mile turf allowance, 4 and up, non-winners of 1 other than, and we do have the scratch of the 13 and 14, and I'll kick it off because here's my single in this race.
Go
and
for
Delta Prince is stepping up the competition after drawing off the Breakers Maiden and defeating a pair of next out winners, which included a horse called Mutazen, who received an 81 buyer when breaking his maiden. Jimmy Jerkins, Johnny Velasquez in the saddle. So here's my single today. I mean, you saw my pick 4 ticket. I used the 3 in there also, but I like the 5 this afternoon.
Oh, definitely. And as we mentioned, this is the half-brother to Royal Delta. And this one had the outside post last time. So, of course, you did kind of wonder if he was going to be able to win at that going a mile on a turf. And there was absolutely no questions left. He won by 4 lengths. And I remember physically he looked unbelievable. He looked the best of the group. And he was coming off of a couple of dirt races and strong dirt races at that. So you did wonder why try him on the turf. But he also got Lasix, and it looked like everything just came together. And it looks like Jimmy Jerkins has a very nice runner on his hands.
And we got these 2nd and 3rd selections flip-flop. You went with the 9, tricked up another from trainer Chad Brown here, you know, along with the Poussin.
And both of those horses, both the 3 and the 9, are trained by Chad Brown, as you mentioned. And it looks like Tricked Up going back to straight A other than company. Last time out, beaten just ahead, and 2 starts back, beaten by half a length. So this is a pretty solid runner now off a bit of a freshening since December.
Well, the key word today is guarantees. I think that will be our key word today.
Yes, it is.
We got $200,000 in the Rainbow 6 and $200,000 in the late pick 5. And that late pick for $300,000.
And we've usually seen when we have those guarantees that they'll be bet even more than those guaranteed size of the pool, so don't miss out.
Good luck, everybody.
We have to take care of these horses that, give us so much joy.
Being accredited by the TAA gives us instant credibility.
People trust us even more than they have before because they know that the TAA has been to all of our locations and that our horses are well cared for.
I mean, this farm wouldn't look the way it is. These horses wouldn't look the way they are if it wasn't for the generosity and the hard work of the Aftercare Alliance.
They've united our whole industry in terms of the aftercare movement.
We're all working together for the same purpose.
Discover a unique sanctuary at the Crowne Plaza, Hollywood Beach, a tropical resort offering contemporary comforts, oversized rooms, and a spacious pool. See you at the Crowne Plaza, Hollywood Beach.